Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Knicks Film School film session. Benjy Rihtoltz here. Shortly after a too close to call victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. Didn't really want to talk about the game itself, which was largely underwhelming. Did want to talk about yet another brilliant clutch performance by the man now seemingly known as Captain Clutch. And the moniker fits because the guy has been truly remarkable in clutch time this season. I thought it was a cool opportunity to just jump into a bunch of the clutch moments Jalen Brunson has provided this year. What makes him so tough to guard in those scenarios? What makes him so special? Let's break it down, shall we? All right, let's start with maybe the first really clutch moment of the year for Jalen Brunson early on against Brooklyn in the season. Again, another way too close game against a bad team. Although the Brooklyn Nets continue to be very feisty, and certainly were earlier in the year. And the Knicks are down one with 11 and a half seconds to go. They run a very simple inbounds play. We're going to watch Jalen Brunson kind of release for the ball here with a very long, very good defender in Dorian Finney-Smith, now a Laker, of course, and doing great for the Lakers, guarding him one-on-one. And one thing I just want to kind of point out from the outset with Brunson in these clutch scenarios is his willingness to just shoot the three. And it's kind of funny because I sense sometimes during regular run of play, we know the Knicks have had 3-point volume issues this season, despite generally a great offense. Run of play, sometimes he's hesitant to shoot pull-up threes, and especially off no dribbles. And in clutch time this year, as we'll see several examples of, there's just a certain confidence that he has to pull that triple. And I think the willingness to pull that triple, which is what you're about to see here, and there's not much to break down here. Right, it's a one-on-one coverage. Brunson on the left baseline. The one thing he does is going to jab at Dorian Finney-Smith. And the one thing you saw there is Finney-Smith's right leg on the jab, because, of course, Brunson's a lefty and is going to want to get to his left hand. So on that little jab there, you'll see Finney-Smith drop that leg, drop it both feet. Right there. See how that moves both feet back one step. And that gives Brunson the space and the ability now to just rise and fire. Bang. All right. So that's kind of the baseline, is the willingness, the ability to just shoot the three in your grill. Let's fast forward a bit in the season to the first Toronto game. We're going to have a couple of them. So Knicks are down 3 here with 3 minutes to go. Now, this is according to NBA.com's definition is considered clutch time. I thought this shot was extremely clutch in the moment, so that's why we're adding it here. So there's 4.5 seconds on the shot clock, 3 minutes to go in the game. Toronto up 3 again, not a very good team, but okay, here we are. And Cat's kind of gonna grenade this to Brunson on a very good defender. LOL, if you know, you know, in Davion Mitchell. And again, now there's no time left here. And you could argue Davion needs to take this away. So he has to pull this three. But again, off no dribbles. And look how deep he is here. I mean, that's deeper than we usually see Brunson shoot from. Davion allegedly hits him on the arm. Brunson drills the three. Tie game. Knicks would go on to win. Let's move over to Charlotte, continuing the theme of pretty terrible teams. So Knicks down 3 here with 3:43 to go. And another theme we're going to see is the way Brunson uses the worst defender on the opposing team to target them. So here it's Micic. So Josh Hart's going to be the one to come screen for Brunson. And you see how open the rest of the floor is here with Deuce in one corner. I think it's OG, or probably it's Mikal in the other corner. And it might be Mikal or OG. It is OG. So it's Towns, OG, a good corner shooter, Deuce, a good corner shooter. The whole floor is open here with Hart, your worst shooter, in the screening action, which is something that we've talked about a lot, that Hart as the screener is the most space you're going to create for Brunson. And here you have the added benefit that Micic is the defender. He's not a strong defender. Charlotte doesn't want to switch that. And so here comes the screen, and Brunson, see, Charlotte doesn't want to switch. So Micic is going to try to stay with Hart, but that's going to be really hard for Jalen, for Green, I'm forgetting his first name now, for Green to stay with Brunson on the drive. Because once he has that step, if you're not willing to switch it, once Brunson gets to his left hand, it's nearly impossible to keep him out of the paint because he's so strong. He keeps you on his hip. You know he can stop at any second and draw a foul. So you almost have to let him go. And again, you have OG in the corner here, so the help can't come here. Brunson's going to get all the way there, and then we know the touch is elite around the rim. So keep that in mind, the ability to get to that left hand at any time, and once he gets to the left hand, he can't be stopped. So now Knicks are up to with 3:06 to go. And another thing that Brunson does incredibly well, and we know this, one might call this the Keon Ellis rule, is that never, ever as a defender, think that Jalen Brunson is at a rest. He's never at a rest. And he's waiting for you to loosen up your stance, to stand up even the slightest bit. You might think they're running an action, but if Jalen Brunson sees you let down your guard as his defender, he's gone. He's always reading the situation. I think this is what makes him so extraordinary in these clutch scenarios. Nothing is automatic with him. Nothing's predetermined. He's reading his defender and the scenario every time down. Here, there's no screen. They're probably going to get to a screen at some point in the possession, but watch as he kind of subtly looks Josh Hart's way, gets Green to look that way, and now it's into the in and out dribble. Look how quick that is. It's just extraordinary how he can manipulate that way. Watch again. Watch it subtle, but bam, right there, in and out. And now again, look at that space he creates with the push dribble. You have the same tremendous amount of open space with the spacing. Josh Hart staying on the other side here so that his man can't really help. Now he's on the hip. The help's going to come from down low. But again, what does Brunson do so well? He'll never let you back in front. So he cuts back in front of Green. Green can't foul him. Gets to his floater game. Bucket. Washington, the theme of a lot of clutch moments against a lot of bad teams. Sometimes Brunson just goes ISO, even if the defender is great. We're going to see that later against Atlanta as well. Here's Bilal Coulibaly, one of, I think, an excellent perimeter defender. Certainly extreme length and ability, even if he's still a little bit raw. Very, very capable defender. And Brunson's just going to take him one-on-one. You see the Knicks are down 2 to the Washington Wizards. You guys probably recall this well towards the end of December. And Coulibaly does a great job holding up Brunson on the first action. And now one of the things you always have to pay attention to with Brunson, we're going to see a couple of right wing threes, is his favorite spot on the floor. Actually, there's a recent F5 newsletter. It's a great newsletter. I'm forgetting the author's name off the top of my head. I wish I remembered it. But you should subscribe to look up the F5 newsletter. It's one of the smartest NBA newsletters out there. The guy's got great information. Owen Phillips. He's got amazing information, data, visualizations. And he shows, recently came out with one that showed where are each top 20 scorers in the league. They're the areas of the floor where they take and make the most shots relative to league average. And there are 2 hot spots, quote unquote, for Jalen Brunson. One of them is right on this right wing, because he can get to his step back. A lot of lefties, think of James Harden as well. A lot of lefties love that right wing because when you turn your left shoulder towards the rim to shoot, you're protecting the basketball. And because your threat to drive left and rip left as a lefty forces the defender to open up, that allows you to step back. And so this is a great example. You see Coulibaly's positioning here. Brunson knows he can get to that step back, creating separation. Because of the threat of that shot and the fact that defenders know how good he is from that spot, you have to try to recover. So you watch Coulibaly there. He thinks Brunson's going to that step back. Right? Brunson slows him down. Now he's got space. Now he can take his little hop step to the right for a step back jumper. But instead, right as Coulibaly's ready to recover to that, bam, it's across and he's gone. I mean, how sick is that? It's just absurd talent. Body control, reading defenders. Watch it again. It's great defense. Slows him down, fakes the step back. You can actually see him fake that step back. His body moves backwards and then immediately, was that filthy, man? Fun to watch this guy. That is a filthy move to tie the game with 10 seconds left. We get into overtime. Of course, this was Brunson got to the 50-point mark in this game. Again, Koulibaly's on it, but this time they're going to bring Hart into the action. Now, Alex Sarr is guarding Josh Hart now in overtime. That's a defender you can expose, a rookie center, has a lot of defensive talent, certainly, but a long way to go to make himself into a really good defensive player. And so Brunson's going to call him up. A good screen by Hart. They switch the action, so now it's Brunson on Sarr. And again, see that little gallop he has? Now, a lot of times Brunson will use that little high gallop to go right into his three-pointer. But again, gets him. Watch this. Sarr thinks he's got to get up. He's going to fake the step back again. Gone. So twice he fakes his going into a step back. First here, but he doesn't think Sarr bites. Now he goes through the legs a couple times, going back to and that extra little pound dribble to get to his step back. Right there, and then he's gone again. And once he gets to that left hand, the touch is too good. He almost never misses, right? So again, he starts in one hot spot on the floor, which is that right wing. He ends up in his second hot spot on the floor, which is left side of the paint, middle to left side of the paint floater range. He's elite in both those areas. And because you have to protect against that right wing, he's able to get into his second hot spot, which is the middle of the floor to the left side of the paint. Filth. And one last one. Knicks now up 4 with 1:30 left in OT. Again, it's Hart screening with Alex Sarr. Sarr now just got blown by. Again, look at that. He does it again 3 times. Walking into his gallop like he's about to pull up. Sarr tries to get up. Brunson's gone. And this time, actually kind of lost a dribble and pulls it back with his left and right into his little mid-range jumper. The need to protect against the step back 3, the ability to get into the paint, control your dribble, the elite touch from anywhere in the mid-range, long mid-range, short mid-range, doesn't matter, floater range. All right, that was the Wizards. They pulled that one out, thank God. We're back to our first 76ers game. This is in early January. Knicks are up 1 here with 3:30 to go. We got Phillips guarding Brunson. And this is just straight isolation basketball. Nothing fancy, no screens. Sometimes Jalen just likes to match up. Through the legs. And again, there are 2 things that he can do at all times. And he's reading. You can look where he's looking right now. Brunson's eyes are on Edwards' feet because Brunson can get to 2 things. He can rip left, drive left hard at this leg. If he can get past it, he can get right into his hot spot, floater range. Or if he thinks that Edwards opens up, then he gets to his step back to his right side, right? So he's reading the defender's legs. He's seeing him step back. He can get to that. And then, just again, as Edwards thinks he's going to get to his step back, and this is a theme right there. Look how he opens up his feet. He's going to try to contest. Now Brunson's through his legs, back to his left, into his pull-up. Reading the feet. How quick is that through the legs move? I've talked about this for 3 years now. The idea that Brunson is a really good foul drawer. Not that his free throw rate is so high, but for someone who isn't particularly athletic, his free throw rate is very high. Because most guys that get to the line a ton are really good athletes. It's very easy to get to the line when you jump really high and have very long arms, so that if you're going to contest at the rim, you're going to hit somebody's arm. Think of a Giannis, Anthony Edwards. Then there are guys who have to be super crafty. So James Harden comes to mind, although he was a good athlete in his prime, not of the level of Anthony Edwards. Jalen Brunson, in order to draw fouls, has to be very crafty because it's not going to be particularly athletic. I'm willing to concede he's a foul baiter, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. As a fan of him, I don't mind it. If I was a different fan, I'd probably despise it. But frankly, what bothers me is when that gets mistaken for a lack of a bag. Jalen Brunson's handle, his change of speeds, is as tight as there is in the league. He is extraordinarily talented, and the bag runs deep, man. And this is just an example of it. And I get to a second play here. Now we're gonna get to this action where they spread the entire floor. We've seen it already. Hart's the screener, so he's your worst shooter, which gives you maximum space. Now, Towns isn't in this game. He didn't play, but it's Achua at center. It's OG and McHale. This is the best spacing you're going to get. And he's going to use it. Now he finds Edwards, and Edwards takes a bad angle. And look, you're picking on a very inexperienced rookie here, which is why he's in the action. So again, Brunson doesn't necessarily have to get into ISO. If he feels like he's going to create an advantage off the screen, he's going to take it because he's always reading the defender. So here, Hart hits the screen. They do switch it, but Brunson doesn't slow down because he feels like, you know what? Edwards never gets back in front. I'm just going to keep going. That could have been called a foul, by the way, and 1. Knicks were only up 2. Now they're up 4. Another clutch bucket. Right? And he, even to his right side, he just reads this. Like a lot of guys, I think, worse players who think a lot of themselves, right here, oh, I got my matchup. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to just run my little ISO game because I want to make myself feel good. Jalen Brunson just wants to score. He'll do it however he can do it. And if you concede an angle to him, he's just going to take it. It's not a pride thing. I'm just going to get a bucket. Could have been an and 1. He wanted the and 1. Makes the shot. Knicks would win that game. Oh, sorry. That was the collapse. They end up in overtime in this game. So now we're fast forwarding to overtime. Again, Hart's coming up with Edwards. Now Hart kind of fakes that screen and ends up clearing. And here comes Achua with Yabusele. So that's a little bit of a decoy action by the Knicks. We haven't seen this one yet, but it is something the Knicks run, where the first screen clears. Hart's going to space, and Achua is the one that comes up to bring in the center. Now Yabusele's there. And that caused a little bit of indecision. It's a nice little action by the Knicks because Yabusele doesn't expect Achua to be the screener here. As Hart clears, Yabusele's a little bit behind the play. So you can see here, Achua gets there, and Yabusele's conceding some space between Brunson and himself. It's a good screen by Precious. And this is where that right wing comes in handy, right? Yabusele never got all the way up. Brunson, super confident in these moments from 3, just pulls right into it. Bang. All right. This was maybe my favorite one because it's the first one against an excellent team and an excellent defense. You could argue he's been a bit in these clutch moments so far. I say this totally as a joke, but it has been mostly against bad teams. Houston Rockets, great defense, great team. And Dillon Brooks is their primary defender here. So what the Knicks did down the stretch of this Houston game was they brought Jalen Green, the weakest defender, in, or they tried to bring him into the action. So here Deuce McBride's going to be the screener. And now you got the matchup that you wanted. So Brunson's going to, if you're going to concede that switch, Jalen Green's not a very strong defender. Udoka likes to switch it. Fine. Brunson's going to go at him. Now, again, all the options he has available to him. This is on the left wing, which is a little rarer for him. Look how he opens up with that through the legs dribble. And that is a Brunson. If Brunson has a staple move, it is the low sweep through to his right. And again, talk about a bag, how filthy this move is and the body control that's required. Through the legs, hard dribble down, and then immediately he's sweeping through to his right. That left dribble makes Green think he's going to his left. Of course, his strong hand. You don't want Brunson getting to his left. But the second that Green moves to the left, Brunson sweeps through underneath his arm to the right. Often he'll get a foul call on this. He happens to not get a foul call on this one. But the beautiful thing about this move is it's not just a foul baiter because he often makes the shot on the floater going to his right. And that's an example. I mean, the footwork to make this move is really extraordinary. Body control. Left, hard dribble, sweep through into the floater. The touch itself is marvelous. I mean, it's just a magnificent shot. Let's move forward to, again, the next play. Again, they're hunting Jalen Green, so it's Deuce coming up. You can see Tari Eason now guarding Brunson is looking for the screen, which is why this little flip by McBride, which he's excellent at. He flips that screen as Tari Eason's looking to his left, which is going to blow up the play. You see Jalen Green's over to the left because McBride had just been there, and all of a sudden he flipped it. So everyone's kind of out of position now from that screen flip. And now you see Green has to kind of scramble out to Brunson. He's never on balance. And Brunson, again, and he barely does, it's not a bad job by Green, but once Brunson clears you with his hip, gets his shoulder in front of your shoulder, it's essentially over. I'm a little surprised Dillon Brooks didn't step in more aggressively and let Josh Hart shoot this shot if Brunson passes it to him. I think Brooks, if I recall, had foul trouble. Maybe that explains it a little bit. There's still 2 minutes left in the game, so it's not the end of the game here. But Brunson gets to the rim. So again, we're picking on the weak defender here. with screen manipulation, it's important the screeners have a lot of work to do here to release Brunson. And here's another, again, they've been hunting Jalen Green. Houston thinks they're going to do it again. Josh Hart's here with Green, so you have to slow down the possession. There's 20 on the shot clock. Houston's up 1:45 left. You might have to call Hart into the action here. Brunson doesn't care. The second he sees Amen Thompson now on him, right? So the Rockets are trying a bunch of different people, and they're all good defenders. He sees him kind of stand up. He thinks he's going to slow down the possession. Bam, I'm in the paint. Now, Dillon Brooks helping strong here. There's nowhere for Brunson to go. Not very good spacing by the Knicks. Mikal probably should already be down the floor because Hart's trying to pin in the screen. But okay, wasn't great execution. No problem. Brunson's going to slow it down. Brooks has to recover back to Bridges cutting through. And now Brunson's got a post up on a 6'8" hyper freak athlete. Why is he doing this? Because he's a very confident basketball player. And he kind of likes the challenge of posting up in these scenarios. Now you see Jalen Brunson's right arm here. This is a subtle but not callable hook. This keeps Thompson in the position Brunson wants him in so that he can get to his left hand, but without really hooking him the way Karl-Anthony Towns often hooks defenders. He's not really hooking him. He just has his arm kind of placed there, arm barring, so that Thompson can't get over to his right. And you see he maintains that. He actually whacks Thompson's arm. Watch that again. Again, the subtle stuff that Jalen Brunson does. Kind of holding his arm. And then right there, he lifts it. See that? And his elbow is kind of right in Thompson's armpit here. And this is all designed so that he can get to his left hand. Again, see that? You can see his arm. It's never a full hook. And it could have been called, maybe. I think it was never obvious enough to get called. It is so subtle, but he clears the space and he gets to his left hand, and he just made a lefty post move on an elite defender who's 6 inches taller than him. Pretty sick. All right. We move to, again, this Houston game was an unbelievable late performance. So on this one, Houston kept trying to hide Greens. Now they have Green on Towns. Because Bridges came to screen, they pre-switched it. So Eason is in the action. Towns is over here. Now, if you watch Mikal Bridges on this play, he's like, oh, they pre-switched it. So Karl, you come set the screen so that Green is back in the action, right? You see him motioning right there. He's saying, come screen, come screen. And Towns kind of goes, oh, Jalen, you want this? Watch the body language here from both Brunson and Towns. Brunson tells him, stay right there. No, I'm good. It's Tari Eason, excellent defender. But again, something comes over Jalen in these moments where he's so confident, especially walking towards that right wing we talked about. He tells Towns to stay. Towns listens to his captain. And there's that little hang dribble the DJ likes to call it. Watch again, that little gallop. And he holds that ball in his right hand. And when he does that, he's ready to pull. Now, what we saw against the Wizards is if you commit to that pull, when that ball's in that right hand, he can cross you over and get to his left. That's what's so difficult about this. If Tari Eason commits to this pull-up, it's a crossover to the left. Someone else is going to have to help. You may either get to his floater, or you may get Mikal, or you may get Deuce for three. Hard to fully commit. And man, Brunson just pulls right into it. Confidence, man. Nah, Karl, you stay. I'm just walking into this right wing three. Bang. Back to another Toronto game. We're up 3 here, 118, 115, 31 seconds to go in this one. And again, Davion Mitchell's on Jalen Brunson. Now, the Knicks were running again. You see Mikal Bridges brings Grady Dick into the action. So this is like the calling card for the Knicks. When things get close in the fourth quarter, it's not often Towns Brunson pick and roll. It's weak defender wing pick and roll because Towns, look at the spacing he provides by being down here. Nobody can leave him. And you have this whole court for Jalen Brunson to operate. And look, you give Karl Towns credit. He's not forcing the action. He lets Brunson handle these scenarios, and Brunson has certainly lived up to the task. So Brunson rejects this screen. You think he rejects it. Bam, now he's back. And that's all set up. See, that's not just like window dressing. That's all set up for what he wants to get to. So this is a reject and a pullback. And now look where Davion Mitchell is. Look at all that space it creates. So that now when Brunson goes towards the Mikal screen, look what happened here. Davion got so faked out by the reject Dick now has to help up on Brunson. He doesn't want to switch, but Davion's going to have a long way to get back, and Bridges does a smart thing, kind of turn into Davion to make it even tougher to find him. And there's that gallop we talked about, right? When Brunson sees that space, it's the gallop with the ball on the right, the hang dribble, right wing pull-up. Seeing the theme. All right, let's get to our recent games. So the last game before the All-Star break, Atlanta. Josh Hart, grenades Brunson, 5 seconds to go. This was fun because it's freaking Dyson Daniels, the best perimeter defender in basketball. Potential Defensive Player of the Year winner. And again, 5 seconds left. Look how deep he is. 0 dribbles. This takes us back to the first Brooklyn clip. Daniels, extraordinarily tough defender who you don't want to dribble on very much. So Brunson says, you know what? There's the jab. We saw it against Dorian Finney-Smith. The jab to just create the sliver of space. So you see Daniels kind of back up. Right into it. Take a 4-point lead with a minute and a half left. All right, now we're 1:15 left. We're up 2. Again, we have a little horn set here, but the idea again is to get Trae Young in the action, so it's Bridges setting the screen. And Brunson turns that corner with the screen. Bridges makes a little bit of contact, and now everyone's a little bit off kilter again. And once you're off kilter on Brunson, he's going to leverage it. So Dyson's now recovering. Brunson hang dribble on the left side now. Now he's usually not going to pull up going left, but Dyson's got to stay close. This is great defense. See, this is like one where this is just elite shot making. Nobody made any mistakes defensively there. I mean, Brunson does a good job of like using the screen to at least create a little bit of separation. Dyson cuts him off, but he stops short. Dyson starts to slide back a little, and it's just like a little floater lefty nonsense that Jalen Brunson makes because he's Jalen Brunson. This game, of course, goes into overtime. This wasn't supposed to be included, but this is just a little fast break layup. We don't have to pay much attention to that. Congratulations, Jalen can't dunk. And now let's get to the play. Knicks down 1, 17 seconds left. Are they going to bring anyone into the action? The problem was the Hawks took out Trae Young for this final possession. There's really not an obvious weak spot to go to. This is actually a very good defensive line that the Hawks have out there. Everybody can guard. Now, you still might want to bring someone into the action because Dyson Daniels is Dyson Daniels, but Brunson says, nah, no, I'm just going to take him. Now, let's watch what he has here. Through the legs. Again, what that sets up is like, and you can see how his stance is slightly closed. Left foot in front, right foot behind is because I can step back off of that and I can get into my drive off of that. So it's through the legs. And then, man, that cross right there, again, bad work. It's back and off cadence, right? Because you look at the time between dribbles, slow, boom. And that explosive cross. And then with that explosive cross, Daniels thinks he's coming on the drive. And then it's a short stop and a bucket. Why is it hard to guard Jalen Brunson? You're watching this with me. It's pretty obvious why it's so hard. Cross, pound dribble with the right, and that pound dribble, DJ's talked about this a lot, how hard he dribbles that ball with his right hand and can immediately lift into his jumper. Pound dribble directly into the shot. A little head shake from Dyson Daniels. Damn, this guy's too good. This guy's too good. All right, let's go to Chicago. First game out of the All-Star break. 33 seconds to go. Knicks down 2. Again, bring Giddey into the action. Worst defender. Mikal Bridges is the guy being guarded by Giddey. So same formation. Towns all the way down here. Achua's in for Hart. And McBride obviously spacing. So again, very similar to the play against the Raptors that we saw. It's an initial reject and then a pullback. And now Ayo's got a little bit of ground to cover, and Mikal's going to try to clear. So now the Bulls did a great job here. You pause it here. You brought Mikal into the action, whereas with the Raptors, he's able to use that screen and expose Grady Dick. Here, nothing's exposed. It's one-on-one with the Bulls' best defensive option. Maybe Lonzo Ball is. Ayo's probably their second best defensive option. Brunson's going to go one-on-one. And again, it's the cross to the right. And now we're going to get into even more advanced bag work because Desumno does a great job of staying with all the initial moves. Gets to the cross. Desumno stays very close. Now it's a little bit of a shed off with that left arm, right? So you get physical, Brunson, when he gets confronted, he'll get a little physical, little shove off with the left as Ayo's grabbing at him. And now it's playing off 2 feet that we talk about a lot with Brunson. So he gets to here, and you see how that little hop right there is why he's playing what we call playing off 2 feet. Hops into his 2, and now you can do all sorts of things. Once you hop off 2, you have a full range of possibilities. Now I can get to my little hop step back to my right, and it's a bucket again. Can't play better defense than that. Off 2, hop back, bucket. Too good. And now let's get to the latest, which is tonight's game against Philadelphia. Look who it is again. It's Edwards again. He's been torturing Edwards in clutch time all year long. So Precious is going to come. So Andre Drummond is going to play a drop. So Brunson's always going to want to take advantage of the drop. And so here comes Precious with a screen. Drummond here is in drop. Edwards falls behind a bit. So you see there's space between Edwards and Brunson. There's space between Drummond and Brunson. Paul George in pretty aggressive help here with OG in the corner. Brunson tries to snake it back. This is actually an excellent job. Now, Andre Drummond's always had great hands at the center position. And you're actually going to see he actually gets a piece of that. And this is just improvisation because Brunson got back to the middle of the floor. Drummond actually knocks the ball out. He recovers. And because Drummond had reached for the ball, he's kind of out of position. So it's just like his ability to manipulate space, Brunson, in tight corners, like how calm and confident he is, his ability to improvise in those spaces is so valuable. Gets to the middle, loses the ball, picks it up, easy floater off the glass, ties the game. And then we get to, and what an appropriate way to kind of finish this off. Tyrese Maxey's on him. So Precious is coming up the screen, but Brunson's going to stay. He's like, I got Maxey on me. We know small defenders are always going to have trouble with Brunson because he can move them and he can shoot over them because of his high release point. And so he's in this space now on the right wing. We've talked about the right wing a lot. You see how he can be closed off and protect the ball. This is actually a great angle to really see it. The way he can protect the ball on his right side. Maxey can't get to this. He's got to shield off his left hand, but this opens up this spot for Brunson to get to his step back. And that's what he's going to do. Now he's going to take his time. Doesn't need to get to it right away. And in fact, the reason he doesn't want to get to it right away is because he's nervous that Oubre is going to provide a ton of help. So Brunson waves Hart. Get the heck out of here, Josh Hart, my lovely roommate podcast partner. Let me have this dance, as Mark Jackson used to say. There's the hang dribble. We talked about it a lot. Watch that. Watch how he holds that ball in his right hand as he backs this up, clears Hart out right here. Hang dribble. He could cross over like we saw against Washington, so Maxey has to protect against that, and you kind of see it in his stance. Instead, he pulls right in. Give him the celly. That's Jalen Brunson for you, man, in clutch time. Pretty brilliant stuff. All the different variety he has, the ways he can hurt you. He's a brilliant basketball player. He's a brilliant basketball player who is a pleasure to watch. I hope that was helpful. I know it isn't the classic breaking down actions, or a little bit we did it with in terms of like what they like to run, but it's all pretty simple. And it's just Brunson brilliance. And I hope I was able to kind of convey what makes him so hard to guard. The different options he can get to, the bag that he has, the way he can get to his step back to his right, the way he can get to his floater to the left. He's just brilliant. And in a time where, look, I get it. This hasn't been like the funnest Knicks stretch for a team that's done really well. I think it's been very sobering to see them get crushed by two elite teams that look more likely to make the run to the finals that we hope this team would. And then to see them let's face it, play a pretty unserious second half against the Sixers that had lost a gazillion games in a row. It's not like the funnest time to be a fan of this team, though I think they'll start playing better. But I get it. But it is fun to watch Jalen Brunson be brilliant. And he is brilliant. And I hope I was able to give you an idea of why. So thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our Patreon, of course. There's more work like this being done every day on the Brunson tier of the Knicks Film School Patreon or the Monroe tier. You can get a town hall from us as well. Hope you enjoyed. We'll talk soon. Have a great one.